Hi, this is Dr. Frank with the Church of Rational Truth. Today we're going to talk about what is a proper and healthy diet. There's lots of advice out there, a lot of conflicting information, and I want to talk a little bit about what we kind of have medical evidence for, what you should be trying to do, and kind of what you should be avoiding in your health. Generally accepted things. High levels of fruits and vegetables, they should probably be the biggest portion of what you're eating. If you're eating things that are carbohydrates or complicated carbohydrates, bread, rice, things like that, you want to go with whole grain, high fiber. We have too little fiber intake generally in terms of an American diet. Most people probably should have somewhere between 25 and 35 grams of fiber per day, and that's usually found in fruits and vegetables. You should have a good amount of nuts as protein, have them as a regular source of your diet. Usually, 1 or 2 servings of fish per week, usually oily fish with good healthy fats. One of the most commonly cited diets in terms of health benefits is the Mediterranean diet. It's not really well defined and you'll see it vary, but generally it's more fruit and veggie, seed and nut heavy rather than being heavy on processed foods and red meats. So that is generally what is one of the most common recommendations. In terms of weight loss, a lot of recommendations will be more of what is the diet that will work for you to lose weight, but we're more talking about general health here for people who are not dealing with weight issues or diabetes or other health problems. Things to avoid: highly processed foods, foods that have a lot of simple sugars, foods that have been basically made to the point where they have a whole bunch of calories, almost no fiber. They've gotten rid of all the good stuff and they're just leaving a whole bunch of calories. Things with a whole bunch of empty calories like sodas or sugary drinks. Even fruit juices have too much sugar and not a whole lot of fiber to make up for it. So those are things that are generally things that should be avoided. Bad fats, so fully saturated fats or trans fats, not good things to have. You want to try to avoid those. You want polyunsaturated fatty acids or some monounsaturated fatty acids, things that are like in olive oils and some of the good oils. That would be a much longer conversation, but basically trying to find good fat sources rather than bad fat sources. If you're going to have proteins, which you should have some protein in your diet, choosing lean protein, proteins from non-red meat sources. So fish, chicken, turkey, some lean pork products, staying away from lamb, veal, cows, or beef, staying away from those red meats or making them a small portion. You don't have to completely avoid them, but I would say you probably shouldn't be having them more than once a week or so, or a very small portion of them. Staying away from overly sweet foods. Having dairy is a plus or minus. There's a little bit of benefit with some dairy potentially, but I don't think that there's a huge mountain of evidence that is supporting it, so I would say some dairy in a diet is okay. I wouldn't go crazy and have really, really high levels of dairy, or I wouldn't push someone to eat dairy who wasn't already eating it. Some things, if you're going to do a more extreme or a more exclusive diet, like a vegan or vegetarian diet, just making sure that with whatever diet you're having, you're getting all your vitamins and nutrients, basically making sure you're hitting all your B vitamins, hitting your iron amounts. And that's really just double-checking ingredients and making sure you're hitting all of them. Like a B12 deficiency can be common in people who are vegan or vegetarian because, sometimes you're limiting in your food options and you're not necessarily getting a wide enough array of food. Most people in the United States, at least, usually don't struggle with vitamin deficiencies except for maybe vitamin D deficiency, which I see a lot, because we usually have a very varied diet and it's usually very well supplemented with vitamins. So that's generally not a problem, but when people have much more limited diets or bowel issues or other health concerns, that does make it a little bit more difficult. That is mostly it. And I would say the big thing we struggle with is eating unprocessed, eating high amounts of fiber, limiting caloric intake, and basically avoiding the quick and easy foods. That's probably our biggest thing in the United States. Each area is different, so I would tailor to your country if you're in a different country watching this. But that's generally it. It's no miracles. There's not some magic food out there that's necessarily going to make you live longer. It is a net-sum game, so you're looking at all the food you're eating over time. And I would say eat varied, eat high fiber, go heavy on fruits, vegetables, nuts, have a couple of servings of fish a week, and don't go over the top with red meats, unsaturated fats, and high levels of salt and sugar, especially simple sugar. Old business, the two things we're going to vote on for this week are, again, going to be between reinvestment in the fund and then going towards church and library fund. So we'll vote this week, and then next week we'll have the results, and then we'll, tally up the amount of money in the end of the month finances, and that'll be it. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Dr. Frank, signing off.